Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Stitches and Coffee with Jurgita. So I've had my good amount of morning coffee, and the mess. That's what I'm starting my December 1st. And this video. So I've decided somehow last night I started to feel like this need to overdo the room, like organize and do FFOing. So I hope this month it will be much luckier to do FFOing. So I started to pull everything, like I have a polyfill. It's not even everything in here, like ribbons, different fabrics, and just throwing them all out. Try to find all my patterns that I've stitched and needed to find instructions how to FFO everything, like something already started in there. So this is gonna be mess before the beauty shows up. So I have all kinds of like the what do you call that backing, the that glues to make it harder, and so I'm pulling everything. The sewing machine is underneath the table so far, but I've just got this urge to start doing things and cleaning up and FFOing all those pieces. Like I have tiny small ones like for ornaments and things in here, and I have another pile, like, if you've been watching me for a while, you know what hard thing is for me to actually sit down and FFO. So maybe that's going to be one of my goals for next year, is not to leave it all for a long time, like some years even, and just try to FFO as soon as possible, and not to leave the piles like this. Maybe it will be one of my challenges, and I'm gonna do separate video in December for my next year's plans, because I'm just gonna start trying all kinds of new things that I've never tried, and it's gonna be in 3Ds, and gonna be something to do with like a gold wire, and like dolls, and you'll see anyway. So I just gonna want to give you a glimpse of things that's gonna come up. So I'm gonna try to cut down on my participation in stitching groups where you have to play and count the stitches, because a lot of those works gonna be like it's very hard to count specialty stitches and things like that. I've never done. So besides that, I also will continue do my cross stitching, because as you can see, I have all pile of dimensions, kids making up and there. So I'm gonna really overhaul my whole craft room in here and organize. So that's my introduction. So this is what I'm starting, and usually I start my video with my spoiled child stitching, but I'm gonna try this first before I pick up my stitching. So wish me luck this month, and hopefully we'll get some results. Well, it's still 1st of December, and I'm taking a break. It's like 9 p.m. From my ornaments and FFOing. So far, I've just been able to kind of put a fusible interface on them and cut it out. And then I guess after I do all of them, I'll start looking through the fabric, which I added more to my pile here, and some ribbons I got today. So I decided, since it's still a first, and I'm so used to stitching on the first of the month, spoiled child, so I think I'm gonna add, maybe hopefully try for 1 hour to stitch. So this is the area that it's left to do for this month. So it's actually less than 1% of the whole piece. So 1% would be 2,313 stitches. So it's left less than like 1,800 or something in here. So from what I can tell, for example, like this is the area that we're gonna work on. So it's a lot of dark. Her outfit or skirt part is gonna be in the shade there, and then we'll start popping out. So a lot of the murky dark colors. And I'm reminding again that this is 18 count Ada, and I'm stitching full cross 2/1 with DMC threads. So I guess I'll come back with this row done, and then we can unroll it this month to see the whole piece, because I haven't seen that in a bit. So it's gonna be fun to see, and hopefully then 2 more years and the whole thing will be done. Right now it's just over 57% finished, but we can always hope, right? Okay, so this is where I'm starting, and it will take me several days to do this, of course, but it should not be way too many singles. I'm hoping, at least, since there's not going to be a lot of different sceneries like it would be like in here. All right, let's start. And it took me 3 days, but I finished this whole piece. So very excited. I finished my plan for this year to do 2 rows. So I think it was from about here that I've done for a whole year, and that's where it ends all the way. So that was my plan, and I finished, and I got just under 2,000 in this area alone. And there was some singles, but it was not a lot. But I did not have a lot of time to stitch. Yesterday, the Sunday, was when I finished this. In the morning, I had an event that our Lithuanian American community put together, and I talked about Christmas Eve and Christmas traditions in Lithuania, because there's a lot of magical beliefs during that time also, and all kinds of different things that in US or other parts of the world they don't have those type of celebrations, including like no meat on Christmas Eve, and 12 dishes, and all kinds of prognostications, I think it's a word in English, for upcoming year. So we had first ever, we've tried like a cookie potluck, we called it. Everybody brought different cookies or other desserts, and we just provided something to drink, and we chatted, and it seems like it was under 50 people that gather up. It was a kind of casual gathering in like a Lithuanian built church. So seems like it was fun, and I'm happy that people enjoyed it, and we had a little festive time. So that's why I did not get a lot of stitching too. Needed to partially prep for that. And we'll see what other events coming up. Probably nothing until after New Year, so I can rest a bit, although still needs to have some paperwork done to send out before New Year for that group. And yeah, so I'm slowly doing my FFOing right now, just putting like oh, what you call that? Like fusible webs on the backs of different parts of work, especially ornaments. So I'm slowly working on that, and still need to finish decorating Christmas tree. Just pulled up all the decorations, and my eldest looked through them and picked some that he wants to decorate his house. So we'll see what I'm gonna do next. And actually, I've decided, since there was just a few hours left last night, to continue working on the cameo part of this portrait of a lady. Very interesting pillow. I was mentioning that I probably wouldn't do all those extras here, like you see all the ribbon and the bead pieces. I might just do this part, including hardanger. We'll see. But I've put in just a little bit more stitching in here to finish off. It will. I'll try to finish this cameo by a new year. So in the following year, 2024, I can start on this big part, but the cameo is being stitched over one with the full axis, so it's taking a while. I know it looks kind of weird with those, especially those cheeks here, but when you look from further away, it's not as bad, I think, as it is. And there's no back stitching involved, so it's all stitching. And there's going to be like a ribbon part in the middle, like here you can see. I don't know if I'll do it right away or when I'm ready to attach to the big one. But I'm gonna continue work, I think, until the cameo, at least the stitching part, is done. So then you'll see all hopefully finished part. So technically it didn't take me that long to finish all of the stitching. It's just the several colors in here that needed to be, and I left the middle part here for the ribbon stitching, and actually there were a tiny bit of the back stitching, so you can kind of see around the eyebrow there's a little bit white and a little bit on the reds to do, but that was, I believe it, yes, just the here with the whites, so 3 colors in here. So very happy this is done. I still need to hunt for specific color ribbons in here, and there's going to be a little bit attachment going like a tiny bit back stitching kind of stuff, but my cameo is all done. I'm very happy with this, and my plan is was fruitful. So the next, I've decided to just grab my beloved or Alien and Rowan, and I'm stitching this on a 16 count antique white Ada 2/1 with CXC or SHS threads. And my goal by the end of the year is to finish this portion, to finish the row, and that would be about 1500 stitches. So nothing very exciting gonna be to see. It's mostly the feathery outfits and finish up couple fingers of hers in here. So it's a lot of like a dark colors gonna be in here majority, nothing like what we saw in this portion, but it needs to be done. So since it's my monthly must stitch piece and I want to finish this next year, so I need to stitch this before I go back to doing working on my FFOing projects. So this is what's going to be stitched slowly through those days until like I said, this row is done, and then we'll be able to again unroll it and see how the whole thing looks like. And just 1500 stitches and the whole row is done. So as you can see, her finger showed up in here, and you can see her ring with something engraved, I guess, just like a guy's ring was having something on it. And then you see the coat in there, and I guess there's going to be more darkness in here following, so the hand automatically goes like this. And very excited, yet another row done by the end of the year. The whole area, I think I did like a 6 and 5 or something like that, so pretty much I think this area. So once I pull out my start of the this year, we'll see how much I've done, but very happy how it's looking right now. So I'm gonna again have to roll this one more time, and majority of her face I'm sure is gonna be covered up. So that's what we're gonna see. Once I unroll it, we'll see his face there, and then it will be both of them covered up, but you'll see that in the next time once I go through all my whips that moving towards next year. Today is the 7th of December, and I'm one day late because I wanted to finish my beloved couple area. And on the 6th of December, this lady, Barbora Radvilaitė, the great love of Žygimantas Augustas, or Zygmunt Augustus, I think the third, of Poland, Lithuanian, I guess we could say Commonwealth. Big love. It's like Shakespearean times. So yesterday she turned 501 years old. So I've decided it's perfect time to stitch that portrait of hers, and this is where I'm gonna start. So probably just gonna work what I thought I should stitch minimum like 700 half stitches, because I'm doing this again on a 24 count Congress Stramin fabric in here. So beginning I started to kind of scatter it up, and as you can see now I'm trying to get like a sections done and leaving some threads hanging. So probably gonna continue most likely in this area and work on that. And you can see her crown right here and compare to the picture like this, so I think it's fairly close. And I'm not probably not going to stitch any background at this moment most likely, but trying to even out this area. So like I said, at least 700 stitches, that's what I've written down for this month plan. So we'll see how that turns out, because that would not be the full area in here. And this is what it looks like, and in a second hopefully you'll see a bit more added. And here we have it. I got more than 700 that I bargained for. So it's definitely over 2,000 done. And as you can see, I already finished this whole section. So I kind of evened out already where I was going. And I actually put in a little bit more in here, kind of filling in those loose threads and a little bit, and trying to kind of go equally in here. So I'm very happy how much I was able to do in those few days. And next time I probably just gonna continue with the main part in here, just keep going down, and maybe then only I'll concentrate on her face, and probably will pull her out on her death and birthday anniversaries through the year, hopefully. So I'll be able to see more of her growing. Like I said, this was going fairly fast, especially since you don't have that many color changes. There's no like different shades of white and blue and purple and stuff, so it's all in this. But there are blends, and there are singles in here mixed in, and that's why it gives this kind of shading. So we're gonna say bye to Barbara, and we'll see her most likely next year. So I've decided to pull out my Semi-Arabic Gardens by Olga Mamayeva. Was a designer, and I know several asked before where they could get this pattern, but seems like that her like a Etsy and a Facebook groups are all gone. So I don't know, is that because of the whole Russia-Ukraine situation or what, but her company or designer company was called Modern Twist Embroidery. So I've been doing this since 2018 May, and this is on a brown canvas, 18 count, so it's not a plastic, and it's sort of like a Congress. Very much stiffer. And my issue with this was that she sent some of the diagrams how to make it, but like for example what was given in the picture here, and several different things, like I have a PDF pattern without the names of the specialty stitches. There are all different, so I'm kind of going by the colors, or trying to get exact spots, what it needs to be done, and coming up with my own ways, because like I said, all three are looking different, and like here for example, there's something would be filled in, and instead of this it was marked differently, and nothing in the pattern shows that it was those two colors. So anyway, it's gonna be sort of like try out by yourself kind of thing right now. So that's what I'm doing, and that takes me a little bit more time to use my own creativity, or just choose what I want to do, because like it looks like this is not finished because there's going to be more in here than it's showing. So this is what I have so far. And my also problem is that I made by one thread longer in this way versus full perfect square, so I would have to adjust my stitches accordingly. And especially when, if it's fine if it's just like would be crosses to make it like a border like this, but when you have a specialty stitches, that's where I could run in the problem. But kind of learning how to do it all all in one go. But this is what it looks like, and I'm gonna try to work a little bit more because I'd like to finish it by the end of next year. So I could always stop whenever I wanted, but there's a couple more at least borders to do, like a specialty stitch, some border specialty stitches, border with specialty stitches, and another, I think. So there's quite a few areas left. So but that's what I'm kicking in, and I'll come back, I guess, with a little bit more stitches put in. I just love these color variations. So this one is 40-30, and this one is 40-40 as it was suggested. So with 40-30, this looks sort of like a Jessica stitch. I don't know if it's simplified or what, but it's like 16 stitches includes in each. So I've done all this, as you see. That's just a typical DMC green color here, and of course I had to slightly adjust the sizing, because as you see in the two corners, those Jessica apparently stitches kind of connect, but in these they're by one off, and that's because I had like I said, missed added the extra stitch somewhere. But then I couldn't figure out by the picture what this border is supposed to look like with this blue color variation thread. So I've looked through my several books of like a canvas embroidery stitches, and I found something that it's called let's see, plate stitch. So it was showing with the ribbon. So it was showing with the ribbon and like a couple of rows in here, but this one I just decided to try out and see how it's gonna look, because in the picture it might have been something similar to this, the drawing of the pattern, but I think I like the plate stitch a little bit more, so I might just work with that, although this part seems like longer than that one. But like I said, it's this one I'm doing with the thread, and the picture for diagram was showing with the ribbon. So am I gonna do a little bit more plate stitch and see how it looks. And another few days pass, so you can see that my plate stitching is done and outlined with the Kreinik in here, and number 4. And then I went to the next row. Also in the corners in here, I just decided to do just in here, because in the pattern it was supposed to be like all areas covered up, but I didn't want to cover the plate. I think it turned out pretty good and even on both sides to see that it's not just the left side that is shown. So the next row was like this, and that's Karen watercolor or water lilies. Anyway, it's not a silk thread, it's a over-dyed cotton, so it changes. And I was trying to figure out should I stitch with 2 or 1, because it's pretty thick, but then decided to go like in here and use 2 threads. And of course I couldn't get exact 2 put together that would match, so I just went similarly, and as you can see there is all kinds of variations. And then for outlining, I think it was supposed to be like with a yellow color or something, so I decided to pull out a different thread. So I wanted to continue possibly stitching, but this is how little I had left of this number 4 of 002 V. So then I pull out all kinds of different similar gold color threads. So you can see slightly different shading of gold. So for example, this one was DMC gold. We had 002J number 4 in here, so like a Japanese. Then we had which one was that, 002C, which is cord, so it's again a different kind of look and texture. And then there was a regular 002, but the number 8. And that's what I decided to use because I did not want to try to run in regular stores and they might not have it. But you see slightly different. This is more like antique gold, and this is more like a regular gold, so it does not have that pinkish hue. So I decided to go with number 8 and did all of this stitching in here. So I don't think it's much different. So done all of that around. Then I've decided it's time for those middle parts of in all 4 sides. And again, I looked at there was a pattern separately sent to me by email by designer, so at least I knew how to make this. So it's pretty much you did this wheel and then you went around it. So at first I played off idea. I pulled out also like a looks like a rayon or type of thread, a greenish color that's a little bit more shiny, and I thought maybe mix around that rayon with the regular DMC like here. And I even asked my daughter to see what she thought, and she thought it was just a plain one would be fine. So because I thought maybe, you know, do more sheen inside and regular green in here, but when I thought about doing shiny outside, I figured out because it's already shiny around, then it might be different. And then some kind of figured out kind of bluish beads in the middle would be to cover up this mess that is in the middle. So I've done that, and of course 2 sides that had a little bit extra, so I figured out I'll do that in the middle. So when I was doing these like a regular straight stitches, I went from side into the middle and again from another side into the middle, and then there was a little bit extra one space was left here, so that's where I did connect like to the edges so it would be even. And just this was a little bit more oblong, but I tried to hide it also with the beads, so it's not that much visible. I guess I could move like make it more roundish, but you can kind of see little bit, a tiny bit oblong, and same goes in this spot. But I don't think it's that horrible because you can see those are normal ones, and this is a little bit one thread of the fabric extra. So I've done those, and then I've decided to go with this border. And I kind of just looked at the graph picture, what was drawn, and figured out approximately what it should look like. And I've stitched pretty much one whole side, and then it's like something is not matching up for me, like right here, that's supposed to be even. And then I was kind of following later where those X's are by that. So it turns out in the very beginning, very first one, I did by like instead of like a 3 here shining and 3 here, I mean let's see, 1 2 3 4, instead of like a 5 and 5 that meets in the middle, I had like a 4 and 4. So I had to take all of this out and restart, but then I knew what to do, so it was no big problem. So I think it was fairly close to what the picture was depicting, or drawing at least one, not the real picture. So I figured out it's something like this, instead of like bringing a long one and then attaching it, that would be like those petals or something, but I don't think you would know. So I've done that, and then those corners were left. And again, it's that beautiful over dye thread that I was using in here. And it's just a giant little square. So for that to help out, I just use my trolley, just kind of poke a little bit a bigger hole. So as you can see, there's like a 13, like a 12 squares that kind of went in. So that was a lot to meet in the middle. And then I was toying with idea of using something out of beads, because it was sort of like shown like this pink one, I think, supposed to be, but then I put in like a bigger number 6, I think, like clearish with some kind of hue in there. I had put in like this kind of type of bead, something else, but then I've decided after some pondering, I was putting different beads on and stepping back and checking it out, and then I decided I'm just gonna go with the same border. It's just because those beads were not Mill Hill beads, they were in different sizes, so I just picked 4 fattest beads and just put in the middle, and that's kind of helped me cover up the bigger hole that I was making. Even then it was not enough to lay even nicely because it was bunching up. But I've done all of these in the corners, and then there's supposed to be some line going on in here, I think, with the Karen thread. So I kind of went past it because this is a last block, so I figured out I might as well go with the last block and did those little corners. And these are sort of like a Smyrna stitch, or it's also in the book I was looking, I saw it's called Leviathan, but it did not have that many different X's going on. And I just went what was looking like in a drawn picture. It was not pointed like which one to do or what's the name. So I just saw that they were all as a top stitch pointing in one direction. But then I had to kind of figure out which way I wanted to do. Did I want all of them in the whole thing, like going from a top left to the bottom right, or not? And I kind of played around with different ideas. So like you can see, I've decided to go like which way it's pointing this big thing. So they're all like facing same direction as this piece. And then when I went to next corner, I had to readjust and start putting my 2 top ones at a different direction. So it's also, they're kind of facing same direction as where is this giant block. And the same was on the bottoms here. Then I had to slightly change, so they're all kind of leaning towards where this giant block is. And then the last thing is going to be this kind of wavy stitch, like you have a regular full-size V going in the middle and small V's in between. And since it's over dyed thread by DMC, so I'm kind of going slowly. It's just for some of the stitching games I have to counter all, and that's taking me a little bit more time to figure out. I do the little area and then figure out how many stitches are. And usually for the stitches, like if I stitch for something bigger, I just calculate how much is, for example, this area in the excess, and how many are there in here. So one side I know exactly how many stitches going to be, so then I can just multiply times 4 if I do all 4 sides. So we're just gonna work that, and this is supposed to be outlined, I think, also with the golden thread. So we'll see, maybe I'll come up with something else. And I mean, I could go on and come up for my books different types of stitches and just keep going, but this is the last block, and that was my pattern given like this. So I might just stop with this. Of course, this will need to be all outlined, and in between here is gonna have to be. And as the outside wall border, it's much longer than all of those in the middle. And then in some of the drawings, I saw that there were some, let's see, somewhere that I've seen like a beads put in, I think like in this area also, or there's more beads in here. So we'll see how I decide to go. Like I said, this is my like a half designers, half my creative project. So learning, it's just with all of this slight changes that has to be made because of one extra fabric thread was stitched over. I had to learn how to adjust it also. It's not popping out to everybody's eyes. So I'm gonna continue work, and we'll see what I can come up next. And I think I might be done with this piece. I'm still not sure with these four more open spots over here. I'm thinking possibly there's a couple of things that I put on my wish list for my birth moss gifts. If nobody gets, then I might get it. And it would be something similar to these tiny flowers, although they are more metal, I think, the ones on my wish list. But I thought since it's considered as a garden, it might be fun to kind of put in some kind of flower in there. So I just took a couple out to test it out, and they have little holes, so I could thread and put something like this possibly, or I think the ones on my wish list are a little bit smaller, or something that I had from like a, I don't know, Joann's or Hobby Lobby, like a jewelry section from a bead gallery. And this is just a string of beads that looks almost like a Swarovski, and you can tell interesting shape in here. Or I thought I could put something like this in those corners, because it would bring again this evenness to the green color like you have in the corners and in the middle with those wheels. So I thought maybe perhaps something like this would look good, but not sure. I'm gonna wait until I get those flowers and see if any of this work. But I'm curious what would be your opinion like. So anyway, after all the stitching I've done, so as you can see, I finished this little border with Karen wildflowers, and it's hand dyed cotton thread, and I did every two fabric threads, as you can see, canvas threads, and then I went and come back around. That's why it looks a little bit different than here. And this, you can barely see the color, so it kind of blends in. But this one I wanted to pull up. So I'm gonna go over this whole thing. So I've started it in May of 2018, and this is a piece of 18 count brown canvas, and the design pattern should be 87 by 87, but I got like a 87 by 88, I guess. And this is all that I've used. So some things I bought, some I just used what I had. So let's see, there's three different threads from DMC, and there's still some of them I was using what I had in my packaging, and not a lot was used. Like a yellow is mostly like only in here and a little bit in there to do those. This pinkish 223, you can see it was started from the middle, did the corners, and then this border where I put the white beads in there. And then dark green, you can tell where the dark green is wheels and corners, and that was it for this dark green. Then as it was suggested, I was using this color Karen wildflowers. And when I pull this, you can see the tiny fibers. They trying to kind of pull off each other, like attach to each other with the tiny like a hair. So it took me a bit because it's never ending. It's one thread each, so I had to kind of detach it from each other and pull it out gently and around. So this is what I have left from what's that, 36 yards or 33 meters. And while the flowers were, as you can see, stitched in the middle, color changes in here, and majority was used this border like a diamond shape in here, and that just a couple of those dotted lines to make. Then I had several different overdyed DMC threads. I think they all were as suggested. So that's all I have left from 4240. And I love this color. It's like a bluish, darker into kind of slightly purplish hue shows up. And that was used, let's see, these little trees, as I would call it, and corners, those big four corners, and I believe that was it. Then next one we had this gentle light blue 4220 in here, and this one was used to do those twisted shapes in here, and parts was in here. I'll show you the work a little bit up close more, but like this portion towards the end on all four corners was also used with this thread, and you can see how it changes color in here versus how it looks in there. So that was another. And the last one overdyed DMC thread is 4030, and that one was like in those corners, and those looks like a Jessica, all of the stitches, and I believe that might have been it. Yeah, so that's not a lot. As you can see, there's plenty left. And then just in the very middle, this rayon or satin, I can't even remember which one was it. It was also suggested. I think it's a satin with the S744, very slippery slow stickers. So that's what I used just in the very middle center, and those like a forks looking in here, and that was that. Then I had several beads, and pretty much none of them were exact like Preciosa numbers, so I just looked at the colors and picked something similar. So I had a couple of them pulled out from this that I got, I don't know, like Walmart, Hobby Lobby or something, different types of beads from a bead box. And I had this very beautiful, like not a navy, but you can see how shiny it is with the blue colors in here. So I just used some of these, and that was majority in this area put in, and also in the middle of those green wheels as I say, to put in. Then just a simple white. It has a tiny bit of the shine of the pearl kind of on edges, around the edges outside, and that was used like in the middle here, as you can see, all the white corners and everywhere with the like a pinkish thread put in, and inside my those four giant boxes. And then for pink one, I got this crystal luster red color, number 11 seed beads, check beads. I think I got it from Hobby Lobby, and they were like in here, just thrown around, and I think that was like it. That was the only place I used those beads. So there's plenty of beads left. And then shiny threads. They were supposed to be number 4 Krynic 002V, and I had just a little bit left. So towards the end I didn't have another roll of this Krynic spool, and I needed still to do like around here and outline the very last row in here. So I just decided to grab 002 as a number 8, not a V, but regular 002, and number 8 versus 4. And I don't think you can tell much difference in the stitching, but that's pretty much. Also, I've used up the whole spool for this because there was a lot of stitching. So this is what I used for making it. It's just, like I said, it's just I'm still curious about those 4 areas. to put something in there or not to put. So I'll wait a little bit, and before New Year, I should know if I received it as a gift, what I put on my wish list, or I should order it myself, because I think I can use those also for different projects. But that's that. So to summarize, I loved stitching, although it was a little bit headache. Because there was no descriptions of the what type of stitches some of them are, and I've never done them before. I received by email from a designer of modern twist embroidery some of the stitches, like diagrams how to do, but it was just a few of them. And she's gone from Etsy, gone from my Facebook, and emails were via Etsy, so I couldn't contact her. And there were two drawings in just on a I don't know, not even PDF, it just regular paper. One where you could zoom in and it was just the lines, and another just like sort of what it should look like on the paper, and the third version was like this, that was also unfinished. So all three had some differences. Like in here you see the green to also shiny stitched thread like a cry neck, but on the patterns there was nothing like this. And then those extra added here is totally different. So half of this piece is my own creative work. Some of them I kind of fudged when I was stitching. I think that's why I got one extra stitch count longer, so I had to fudge it, like especially those wheels in here, harder to see. And like pattern that was pretty much like this, so you can you see, like, oh, I was just kind of following that and counting like how many of these are inside. Luckily this was here, the wheel was there, and I think like these two, that was that. And like I think it's supposed to be a bead, but it was not mentioned, so I was just kind of playing around, zooming in to the maximum on my computer, and just guessing. So it was a lot of creativity involved. That's why I think when I started in 2018 up until 2022, I had just this middle yellow shiny part and one of this done, and that was it. And in 2022 I made only 422 X's, because I was each count was considered as a half stitch, like a back stitching would be. So 422. And then in 2023 I really pushed myself and I got 4160 stitches done, because I was using them to some of the games. So that's all it is. So that's not a lot, you know. In total it gets what, about 4600 or something. So it doesn't look like a lot of work stitch wise, but the thought process and learning how to do some of the stitches kind of was pushing me a little bit back and away from this whip. And I'm very, very happy that I finally managed to finish it. And I'll have to now figure out how I'm gonna FFO it. I carefully put in on the very bottom here my initials and 23 as a year, and I did not want it to be seen much. And if I decide to cover it by one stitch in here, that it's fine. But need to figure out how I want to do FFOing, because it has beads, and possibly will have some even taller than bead things in here. So don't know if I want to do that in the frame. I think in the pillow might be a little bit too much tears shed if something happens to it, especially with the dog around. So I don't know, but I'm very, very happy. It was like 5.5 years of sitting as my whip project, and I was not planning to finish it right now, but I did. And I sort of gave myself a very quick birthday gift for upcoming birthday, and that's gonna be only a couple of days away, and I can finally mark this as my finished project. So I'm curious to see what you guys thought of this project, and I'll give you in a second a little bit up close of all the stitches, but I wanted to show you what I worked with and how I worked on this piece. So meanwhile, while I'm waiting for those little things to decide if I want to add to my oldest project, Semiramis Garden, I decided that I still have a few hours today, so I might as well pull out and perhaps start again this Raindrops on Lashes piece. And like I mentioned in the last month's video, I have just up till here to finish the row, so I thought it would be cool to just end the year with the row ending. And right now this is what it looks like right now. And again, if you're just now turning in my channel, you might not know why it looks so weird. It's because I've decided for all my full coverage projects, the ones that probably gonna have a mat or frame up to my work, that I'll be adding 2 more stitches above, so that can go underneath like a frame or a mat instead of like cutting close. But because as you can see, it would be very, very close to the top, just like in these pictures right here, that I don't want to like reach the hood here, so I'm gonna be doing that to all my whips that if I can to do on all the sides, all 4 sides. So whatever the thing is, it's gonna add 2 more rows, so that's why it looks so strange. So once I go in here and I see the same color approximately on the top, I'll be adding, and of course on the sides. So technically it's until 352 that I'm gonna need to do the widthwise, and the height is gonna be like that. So it's total should be approximately 1355 without adding the extra on the tops and on the sides. So I'm gonna start that. I don't know how long it will take. I'm stitching this in a half stitch, and I'm going the top of X to do so. I'll have to get my head again switched to that way, because I usually, if I do half, I do like this way versus that. But because the rain is coming down this way, so that's one of my new tryouts to do stitches the opposite way. So far I think it's looking good. So just I'm gonna continue work until I finish this row, and I'll come back to you. It's probably not gonna be a lot of different color changes, because as you can see, it's a lot of darkness, and I'm gonna touch just I guess the edge here of the hood, which gonna have some green colors, as you can see in here with the lights. So lots of darkness, and it's gonna be ending that row. And the end is done, so I managed to get all the way to the end. So as I thought, it's not going to be a lot of different color variations, and of course for you it's showing a little bit more fabric through it. So there was a lot of dark colors, and that went fairly fast, so I went a little bit here. And I also got rid of those couple hanging threads. I don't know, was it 6 or 7, somewhere like here. So I have a whole thing without the hanging threads. And as you can see, I started kind of skinny, then went a little bit down, and then really started going down. But when you compare to what it's gonna be like next time, so we're like about this area, and if I go again the same amount, we might hit by the middle of year, if I go 1 row at a time. Maybe I'll hit like an eyebrow, but we're gonna see some of the skin more, and hair sticking out. But this is what it looks like right now. And of course I'll have to fill in all of the top and the sides in here once I get those colors in, because there's not a lot of super dark ones in that area. But I love how it's turning out, and it's just a little bit bigger than what a printed picture looks like, but you can tell all the details how looks accurate so far. So I can't wait to see how it's gonna look with all those eyelashes popping in there. So now we have to say till the next time to this piece, and I don't know when I'm gonna pull it out. It's not gonna be one of my major whips next year, so we'll see. I want to pull it out at least once, and I don't know how much I would stitch at that time. And I think I'm gonna spend a bit of time of like a cutting off extra threads, especially around the edges, before I put this stabilizer on and getting it hot with the iron and gluing it together, so I can start continuing with the well, not start, but continuing with my like ornaments and things like that. Like I have a big pile of even Halloween in here, and some of them be ornaments, some gonna make like a flat fold, but this is what I'm gonna be working for a bit. Also, while checking out EGA's news, not letter, but magazine, Needle Arts of December. I'm almost done reading through it, and I'm having coffee. So this is from my me and my husband's bowling times at his work. So we did like mixed men and women's, and we were champs in '07, '08 in that bowling league. So that's a tall cup, and I have a very dark coffee in there. And looking through magazine reading, listening to floss tubes, and working on this. So I'm gonna sit here at the desk just for a bit while my kids, two of the kids, taking their like midterms and. In the middle school, and it's very important because it's a high school level, like a math, algebra, and my college kid is taking his final exam of the semester for one of the classes. So I'm gonna be sending positive vibes to them and working on this. And I put all the backings on my ornaments, and for this size I need to cut this whole big board that I got. It's about 1/8 inch thickness right here. And I think it's supposed to be like acid free, I can't remember, but that also gonna be used for my flat folds. So this whole thing needs to be cut on in that kind of size, and the squares and all kinds of different shapes. So I need to do a lot of cutting right now. And after doing all of that cutting, my thumb started to get numb from my scissors because it was such a hard cardboard. So then I had to take my daughter to the Y for her practice, and we stumbled upon Santa. So you could have like a Santa picture taking at the YMCA, and they had all kinds of activities for little kids and hot cocoa and snacks. So while I was waiting for my daughter to finish her practice, I sat right near the Santa, so I saw so many people taking pictures, and I helped take group pictures and stuff. So you might see a couple couple of shots of that. There's some big people even sat on Santa's knee, and they were all over and in all kinds of outfits because, like I said, it was YMCA. So some of us probably didn't pay attention that it's going to be such event. So we also had a picture taken. My daughter's teammates asked for Santa to win the game for Christmas. So we'll see. But what you see in here is take apart frame, which means usually is either I'm gonna start something or I finish something. And while I was waiting near Santa, I actually put together my writing in work because I wrote out by the alphabet this Biscorno, and wrote all the stuff in here. So it's all done wedding confections. So you can see how beads, this is going to be the bottom, of course, and how the beads are shiny. So I'm going to have to wash because you can see like the white doves here are really different color looking, but I'm very happy how it turned out, the alphabet and the numbers. So I just took it off the frame. I'll show you once I start cutting all those pieces out apart, but I mean, look at how tiny this top portion of biscornu is going to be. It's very, very tiny. So anyway, very excited. I finished this, and like I said, it needs to take a bath. Hopefully the silk threads are not gonna leak anywhere. They're just a couple silk threads, so I might have to put in some color catcher just in case, but I really want to wash because of this, and plus it's all white. So yeah, need to have those biscorners done. I've never done biscorners, so that's gonna be fully working, either this or it would be stitch and do something. But I got the free frame. I'm sure I'm gonna use it on something. So that's kind of time for some other stitching, I guess, right? And even though it's evening, 9:30 p.m., I've decided to pull out and put some stitches because I needed to finish up some stitching game, waiting kind of for my ending picture, and I need some. So this is a town drawing by Химера or Катрусин Рукоделки, and I'm stitching that full cross, so it's not a half, and this is what it looks like right now. It has 2617, I think 26.17% done. So this is what you see. It's like within a frame, so I'm just keep moving. And if you look at the picture, this is the sky that needs to be done. I already started this side of the building, so I don't know how long I'm gonna stitch, because tomorrow I might start something new. As usual, I try something on that day, and we'll see. It's gonna be a pretty busy weekend too, so don't know how much stitching I'm gonna be able to do, but at least I know this. I think it's all in that one white color, and I'm really hoping this is also just like older thread, I think, that I was using, and it's gonna wash off and just continuing here. So I'm gonna stitch just a little bit. I don't know how much time I'll have, but this is where I'm starting my town drawing, which is the scenery of rainy London. And I've actually stitched for several days instead of just one day. So as you can see, I filled in more of the whites in here, and then continued in just that area, filling in, going from the smallest amount to a bigger amount, and then I stopped and I did not stitch on a third day. So on the third day, although I original was planning to stitch one to start one new big project, but I looked at next year, according to Chinese horoscope, it's gonna be green, I believe, wooden dragon, and what I wanted to stitch would be like that. So I figured I might as well leave that pattern to start when the new year starts. So just had a kind of urge or want to continue stitching the started projects, and this is what I've got. So this is where I'm gonna leave it for next year, and here you can see what I've done so far. I love it how it's turning out, and it's not that hard to stitch, but in the buildings there's all kinds of different colors, and once I go past the smallest amount, it would start stitching much faster. So after some thought, I've decided to pull out this Victorian diamonds from a magazine, and the design is by Janelle Geese, I guess. And as you can see in the sample, that cross stitching is practically just here in the middle, and the rest of that is going to be done with like acrylic threads and different beads, like seed beads and the bugle beads. And I started this Stitch Mania time, and that's all I have right now done. So I thought maybe I could continue stitching because I might be able to finish by the end of the year if I wanted to, but I wasn't sure exactly because there's still quite a bit to learn how to make all of those patterns. And it does not look like a lot of stitching, but it needs more accuracy. So I started in the very beginning during the start and just was doing main cross stitching, and of course then it would have to be all those uh, crinics and stuff. And we'll see. I feel like just doing this one right now, but I was a couple of days ago, right before the tournament, I was getting dinner from a couple places for my family members. Because my daughter had a friend sleepover, and I was turning right in our subdivision on the on the left side. So from a main road to the left side, subdivision entrance, and our house is like a second one. And it was slightly raining, so I saw, two lanes coming from other side. I was in the middle turning lane, and well, that's enough time for me to turn because there's no stop sign for me. So from a turning lane, I started turn left, and the guy, older guy from subdivision, decided he wants to turning left at the same time. And almost crashed into me, but I managed to swerve. And luckily, I was not going fast enough. Otherwise, I probably would have flipped with the rainy roads in there. So I was a little shook up in there. But luckily, I also had my dash cam because it's the exact same spot when we were getting ready to turn, like about, I don't remember how many years ago. At least few or so. We were turning in evening, and my husband was driving. A lot of us, including visiting family members after graduation dinner, and the car just flew by us on the left side when he was turning on the left. So after that, we had those dash cams installed in all of the cars, the kids and ours. And this way I also would have had proof that I had the right of way, and this guy thought I might not be turning and waiting for all those other cars to come by, and I had enough time. But anyway, it shook me up a bit, and I was kind of mad too that on my birthday celebration also coming up, it was something like this that he was not thinking clearly too. But all ended well, and then we had a tournament the next day, and it was like a neck and neck with the other team, and we lost just by 2 points. And I'm happy that my daughter was not too emotional about that. And it's more for fun of a game, but of course some team members were more emotionally invested in that. So the season is over, and the next time Y is gonna have games. It's end of March because school's gonna start having their volleyball after January. So we'll see if my daughter makes it in a school one. So meanwhile, back to the stitching, I guess, and I'm gonna work a little bit on this Victorian diamonds. And I've never done something like this, so that's majority were like different types of beads, but it's fun. And it's from, let's see, this magazine, Cross Stitch and Needlework of October 1997. So sometimes all the magazines are worth browsing through, and some classics pop out of there. And let's see how much I can do. The fabric I used is, of course, with the artificial light, is showing a little bit brighter, but it's water lily linen as it's suggested. So it has that sagey look versus what I see through camera. So like how it looks so far. So let's see if I can add a little bit more. And I finished quite a few days later all the beading part. So let's look it up a little bit closer. The beads needed to be, like I said, just like two regular color and one type of bugle beads. And I did not have enough of those whitish looking that they wanted to. I think after I finish the whole piece, I might tell you more about what I use, how much I used, and how it worked for me or not worked. So all the beading is done. So two diamonds in that side, two of the same in here, and one in the middle. And I actually I finished, and then because I was following exactly pattern, but there was one bead omitted in the pattern. And after I looked closer, I decided to go back and put it in. And I also used a new type of thread. I'll show you that later too, but this is what it's looking right now. And trying to record, we'll see how the sound goes, because I got this from my wish list on for my birthday from a family. And I'm gonna try out this wireless microphone, and we'll see how it looks. So this is no cords required. We'll see. So far it was very good reviews about it, and we'll have to check it out how it works when I do recording from a distance away from camera. So that's all done. So the next stop is going to be doing all kinds of like a diamond shapes in here, um, with Krynic. Let me pull out the picture. So as you can see, there's going to be like a diamond shapes, and there's something else going to happen inside on the top, and just looks like a plain diamond shapes on the bottom. And that's going to be done, plus looks like a different color is going to be specialty stitches put inside those little diamonds. And then of course the giant, I don't know, is that bullion knots? I'll have to check it out in between. And then of course there's going to be all those tassels. But first, of course, I'm going to concentrate just on making those shapes in those parts. And I guess I'll come back to you after I've done this. But beading, of course, was taking me a bit more time, and I just was not in a big rush. I was enjoying every moment of it, and I like how it looks right now. So we'll see how it looks with some more sparkle put in. It's December 20th. Not only we don't have any snow, of course, doesn't feel like winter much, but the neighbor is cutting grass. Yep, not a drop of snow. So I've been slowly stuffing this little guy and a few ornaments, more flat fold those ones, but this is my first like a stuffy ornament. And this is what I chose for a back, a fabric. The sides are a little bit, I guess I could have sewn more with the fabric, but this is, by the way, Mill Hill gnome ornament, and I stitched that on a fabric versus perforated paper. And I sewed up except all together like a back side and front side except the bottom part, and tried to push it, the pointy part I couldn't get fully all the way, little knob still left there, and then stuffed it as much as I could and sewed up by hand the bottom portion, so it can't fully sit, but it's more stuffy, as you can see, that much. And then I decided to add this invisible thread to hang it, and that's not very long, so it can always be changed. But this is my first first attempt to make such an ornament, and I hope recipient likes it, my future daughter-in-law. So she likes gnomes and decorating home gnomes, so I stitched this specifically for her. So in a couple of days will be Christmas, and I'm gonna give it to her. So, for this trip, I've decided to grab this magazine, and it's Treasures in Needlework by Better Homes and Gardens and Cross Stitch and Country Crafts. So, I guess they kind of put it together. Publishers, and it's summer of 1992. And this is what I was picking as a pattern, and it's inside. So, I'll show you in a second. So we decided, since we're going for Christmas, that would be a great Christmas start for me. And I worked like 3 days total on a trip, and a little bit when we got back home last night. And let's catch up on that quickly on a live. So before we took that the Christmas trip, we had gone to the mall with my daughter to choose dress for her, like a winter ball, I guess, and the seventh, eighth graders that get in the school. So I picked a dress, and I always like to see when I go inside there in the office area entry that like a designs from art class that they do, and it's all hanging there. So I'm gonna be including little bit video here to show you what kind of um, thoughts and imaginations go through some kids' heads when they have something specific to express themselves with. And they had seemed like a great time after the dance. A couple friends came over to our house, and they spent quite a few hours. I think the last one left after 11 p.m. So they just hung out also at home. And then we, of course, went for the trip, and brought the dog with us. So two kids were kind of packed in the back of a car, but I decided to start this on the Christmas Eve. And even in like a southern part of Wisconsin or northern part of Illinois, it was still no snow on the Christmas throughout the whole time. And too bad. we, we were so hoping for a white Christmas, but that did not happen. So I'll show you just a couple of things that later on that I got for Christmas as a gift. But I worked on this piece for a little bit, and also we visited my nephew's new apartment that he's renting like half hour away from his mom and dad. So we visited that apartment, and we were kind of impressed how well he like furnished and decorated. And I'll add a couple of pictures that he's made using his 3D printer. He loves like a Star Wars, all kinds of things. So he comes up with the things making, and like bunch of helmets. There's more in a different room than it was in the living room, and some parts are moving, and he puts like that plastic that could bend. So he really puts a lot of work and thought into creating those 3D prints. And then after Christmas, we also during that time went for a couple-hour drive away to visit some of the relatives in a different state. My son and his fiance joined us like on a Christmas morning, because they drove, got in like 3 a.m. on Christmas Eve at the cousin's house, because that's where they all bunked older elderly kids of ours. So uh, they came on Christmas morning, and we unwrapped gifts and had a very good meal and spent a few days there. And then we drove home, and right when we were coming near home, of course, there was getting like a drizzle, and then snowflake started. So now we have on the 28th, we have some snow on the ground, so that hopefully that will stick for a little bit, even though it's still positive temperature is going to be through the day. But we'll see how long it lasts. So that's catch up on my life. And let's see now on this stitching. So I had this marked as a picture what it's supposed to look like. So Santa's labor of love should look about this way. And I chose the 28 count lambs of Jobelan fabric. This design was done by Dana Yuen, I guess. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing correctly. And illustration was by Virginia Kilberg as a Christmas decoration. Let's see, the stitch count is 166 wide by 250 height, so it's not very small. And inside, you can practically say that it's full coverage except a little bit in here. In the area, and of course like the border, but you can tell where it's a back stitching gonna be involved, and probably I'm gonna be doing some couching, but there's gonna be a lot of words, and I can always change the words. I think somebody's who's done this before, they put their like a grandkids and relatives words names in it, so I don't know what if I'm gonna do that. But when you look at the fabric color and the color of the threads, how different it is with the cover. I mean, you can kind of right away tell, right, how this is much more like a dirtier khaki color versus like a light brownish, and same in here, the colors. So it's different what it looks like on the outside versus inside. I think I got fabric in beginning what was suggested, but it was very very dark. I think even darker than this, so I decided to kind of just go by the picture and got more neutral color. And like I said, I worked for 3 days, so let's see what I've got. I brought a frame that I sewed the top and bottom on, and then when I decided to start stitching on the Christmas Eve, I just put my sides. It's all homemade frame. Still need to tighten the sides a little bit to make it nice and like a drum like. And I started with doing like a vine around in the border without greenery. So I brought just a couple types of threads in here and colors, and started stitching. So you can see the frame in here, and like a candlelight is going to be here, and Santa already is going to start here. So this is what I've done. Like this area is the same thread number. It's just stitched with one and two threads, and this is what the difference makes in the pattern itself. So you don't even have to change color of the thread. You just use one versus two threads. And this is what I get. And it's already over 3% done. So I'm very happy how much I've done. And I think I'm going to set this aside now because it's not many days left to the end of the year. And I want to do some FFOing and perhaps even finish my previous work that I worked on, that what do you call that, Victorian diamond thing. So I might work on that and do some FFOing. And of course, I need to do some more videos for the end of the year. I see a lot of them popping up on YouTube now, so I have to catch up on the videos too. And all the comments I need to write back versus just quickly reading them. So there's a lot of work left to do by the end of the year, and we still have a birthday party here, and then New Year's Eve as a New Year celebration. My daughter again is hoping to have a couple of friends over to spend the night, and because we go after midnight, like banging pots and making noise to celebrate a new year. And we'll see how it goes, but I have to change this in my holder stand, and like I said, do all the FFOing. I need to catch up. So that's this is how much I've done on my Santa's labor of love. So I haven't stitched yesterday yet because I was working on pre-cutting. I bought a long like quilt size polyfill quilt batting, and been cutting this in the shapes to make more poofier like ornaments. For example, this had I think 4 or 5 layers of those little sheets. I mean, they're not very thick. So like here it's 8 sheets, and this one giant pile, like you can see, it's gonna be for these round dimensions ornaments. Also, I've been making with the smaller amount in here those little tiny ornaments, and the backing too, so it's going to be just a slight puff for those small ones, and just putting them together. And later on I'll have to sew it like two sides like this and that. And I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do with connection area. But I have 12 of these little dragons that I had monthly made as a free salad was, and that this is how I put it together. So I think I did pretty good job. When you think of it, that I've never done this before, so I don't think I would be able to see any white fabric all around once it's put together. So I've been just cutting and shaping in this. So if there's going to be a lot of people asking, I might do like a tutorial how I make it all step by step if you've never done it. So that's what I've been keeping myself busy, like pre-cutting all of those boards that needed, and try to go by each design what size it needed. So that takes a while, and so far it's going quite well. So this is what I have so far. I actually finished 3 of those round ones into this shape, and I still can't believe that all 8 layers of that quilt batting got compressed so much into this thin one. But I think it should be okay. So I have a tiny bit bigger, that's my monthly dragons, and that was a little bit poofier. I can't remember how many layers I've done with that. And these 4 little Santa, like a figure headshot, I stitched in 2018, and I'm finally just getting an FFOing, and this is background. So I still need to iron out a couple of the pieces for background because it has like a crease, and I want to make sure it's nice and straight. And then I've decided to work on this Just Nan's 8 Tiny Reindeer cube that I finished a little back, and I just finished literally like a half a minute ago. So I did everything as it was suggested. I added a fender washer with little cardboard in here for the weight, and I added those beads that were on top. And I actually decided to put little feet that I had some kind of beads laying around, just cheaper ones, not a mill hill, and with some pins just put it in. I did not sew it in, but this should keep from touching the surface. So it's sitting kind of like this, and should be good. So whew, doing some stuff. My fingers aching from pulling the threads around there, and I don't know what's gonna pop in my head to work on next. Well, I actually was able to put yesterday all the parts on the top, like sew it up this middle part, and put all the beads on the top portion of the egg. The hardest thing was here and figure out how this whole thing worked. So I really worked on the middle 3 little beads here tightly as much as I could. And actually the pattern is not very hard to figure out. You just follow the rows, etc. So that was easy part. Now we'll have to see how it goes in here, and if I have enough distance to make it look as nice as in the picture here. So I'm gonna continue working at that, and it's very relaxing to do, and I still have some beads left, so hopefully that will be enough, because quite a bit of white beads were used for this part. So I'm gonna work on the bottom, and hopefully this will be done before the new year kicks in. And like 4.5 years later from the start of this egg, it's all finished. So this is what the top looks like. And I think it's fairly tight in here, and I managed to do the bottom. I thought that I did pretty good job too, if I could say so myself, that it's nice and round. There's no big giant holes in between, no big spaces, and that was very easy actually to make. And I'm kind of tempted to get more of these eggs to make. This is real wooden egg, so let's see what involved in that. It has like a flat base before, and it still can sit. So it came in this box. It was a little bit smushed, but everything like you see popping. It came like this, and it says that it was Zweigart fabric and anchor threads, and the finished size 2.5 by 2 inches, and everything that you needed, it was in there. It's 2014 design, and designer or artist was Anna Petrosan. And let's see what else is in here. So there's a couple more the different types that you could find. It was like this one. There's, I think, Lily of the Valley also. Now they have it. So I might be tempted, since I've done this before. And let's see, so these are the beads are still left. I don't know what brand beads these were. They didn't say, but they said that the threads were anchor, and this is what I have left. There was no numbers, marked, but it's just like a color description. For example, dark red or red, and I have all this thread left, so this is the same as here. So that's quite enough things left. There was that giant beading needle, long one, and 2 sheets of paper. One was instruction with the pattern and the descriptions, also how to do all this beading by each row, kind of with words. And the other sheet was just for the beads, drawings with the directions, like you've seen just like a half a minute ago. Had to wait for a helicopter to pass by, so it was making big noise. But it all was on over one. That's what took it quite a bit of time to stitch over one, all of this. And first I started with the border, and by after that I just slowly going in and stitching the rest of it. As you can see, there's a gold thread in here too. That is some left. There's a little bit more, I think a few more strings might have been left. But yeah, I'm very, very excited how it turned out as the very first one. And I'll have this sitting in 2024 Easter table decoration. So very sparkly. And it took me only 4.5 years to do this. Now I won't be as afraid to try something like this. Well, what I can tell you is, after doing all kinds of small things and FFOing and semi-FFOing, it's very strange to grab something to actually regular stitch, putting X's, or in this case would be half X. So as usual, each month at the very end of the month, I try to put in some stitches in my Girl Ghost. I think it's my biggest by at least stitch count project so far that I have. And for December I had wished to make 3,000 stitches. So first I'm gonna remind you what it looks like right now. The first little row is done. It's practically barely anything hiding underneath there, so it's fairly big. And just gonna continue, probably just more background. And this is where I am. Her hair is kind of floating there. You can compare each part. So since I'm doing half stitches on 25 count, I don't mark anything. That's Luca S fabric, and I'm using DMC threads in here. So just gonna try to put in as much as I can in those last few days, or like day and a half, but we'll have some cleaning to do and getting ready to celebrate New Year, and put this month's video on YouTube. And then we have another birthday and New Year celebration, and probably gonna have a sleepover of some girls for that. So not much more, most likely, stitching to do, but it's okay. I want to put at least some of that in here. So I think I'm gonna finish December month with this. I'm not gonna come back and show you just tiny bit what I added. You're probably gonna see that in my whip parade for next year. Since I have a full house, it's kind of hard to film without everybody being noisy, including the dog. So I hope that you enjoyed the video and all the progress that I've done. My let me pull out actually my 3 months to the finish line list. Okay, I pulled it out my printed list. So very happy to say this was FFO'd, this was finished, and just now I have it all washed and ready to cut. I needed to put in find writing that I liked and put in names and the dates for newlyweds. So it's ready to cut now and made into those tiny 3 biscornus. 2 of these were finished. That one is finished and washed also, and ready to be FFO'd, fully FFO'd, partial FFO'd, 3 of round ones. So of course I finished stitching last one. Those 2 both are stitched and done. I just need to put in backing and something to hang it. And this one of my oldest also pieces, that was my semi-designer, semi-mine piece, that's also done. So besides that, I had some more finishes done in that those 3 months, but I'm happy that these smaller ones were pushed through and all done. So overall, December was pretty good. I think the year was very good too. Like I said, for next year, I'm slightly or quite a bit of changing my approach into needlework and stitching, and there's going to be quite a few different things that I've never done, and I'll be showing that to you in a different video. But I'm hoping that you had a great celebration, Christmas and Kwanzaa and any other holidays that you celebrate, that you will have a great New Year celebration the way you want it, and to start of New Year. And I guess I'll see you again in 2024. Until then, if you like this video, put a thumbs up, and I'll talk to you in 2024. And this was Jurgita saying bye-bye.